Que ya está, se terminó para mí la selección. Como dije recién, son 4 finales. No es para mí. Lamentablemente lo busqué, era lo que más deseaba. No se me dio, pero creo que ya está.
The entire nation that once screamed for his retirement now builds statues in his honor. I uncovered the private moment he almost quit forever, and the forbidden tactic that changed everything, what he did to earn their worship, will rewrite how you see legacy. Stay to the end to witness the goal that sealed his godlike status. Long before Argentina worshipped him, long before cities painted his face on their walls and millions sang his name as if it were a hymn, he walked into a stadium as an 18-year-old prodigy and walked out less than a minute later like a criminal being escorted from his own dream. That debut red card, that 47 seconds of shock, would haunt him for years, not because it proved anything about Lionel Messi, but because Argentina had already crowned him the next Diego Maradona long before he had a chance to breathe. They needed a miracle, and miracles are rarely patient with teenage boys. Yet the cruel beginning became a seed, planted deep in the soil of expectation, watered relentlessly by a country that treats football as its second bloodstream. They didn't see a child carrying hope on thin shoulders. They saw a savior who owed them destiny. And while the world adored the Barcelona magician who twisted bodies into confusion and lit scoreboards on fire, Argentina stared at him with suspicion, wondering why the boy, who dazzled Europe, could not conjure the same fireworks at home. Every missed pass sparked debate. Every loss resurrected ghosts. His silence, his soft personality, his shy posture, none of it helped. Maradona had been fire and thunder. Messi was a whisper that moved like wind. Argentina never trusted whispers, but even a whisper can grow teeth. After that disastrous debut, he returned, as if refusing to let humiliation write his story. He scored young, dribbled young, and forced the older generation to look at him not as a promise, but as a force arriving earlier than expected. Argentina's under-20 triumph in 2005 gave them a preview. Messi lifting trophies in a blue and white shirt, even if it was not yet the one that mattered. Olympic gold in 2008 added weight. People saw flashes moments when his left foot carved paths reminiscent of Maradona's mythology. But flashes were not enough for a nation that treated football victory as an obligation ordained by heaven. Argentina had not touched a World Cup final since the days when Maradona ran wild. They believed Messi's childhood shoulders were engineered to carry that drought. In 2006, he stepped onto the World Cup stage with the innocence of a boy who didn't yet know how heavy Argentina's longing was. He scored once, became the youngest Argentine to score on that sacred stage, and still found himself benched when the quarterfinals came. Germany struck, penalties unalived their hopes, and all of Argentina screamed one question: why didn't the genius play? Thus began the early legend of missed opportunities, moments where fans imagined that the boy on the bench could have changed the story if only the adults had trusted him. That question would return again and again. What if Messi had been allowed to give more? By 2010, he was no longer a boy. He was a global phenomenon, already a Ballon d'Or winner, already carrying Barcelona into eras of impossible brilliance. And as fate loves dramatic symmetry, Diego Maradona himself took the reins as Argentina's coach, a theatrical pairing only football could produce. You had the past and the future walking side by side, one volatile, one quiet, one fire, one ice. The world expected the old legend to pass his torch to the new. But skill does not translate into coaching magic, and Argentina's 2010 campaign drowned under tactical chaos. Messi created beauty but scored none. Germany came again like a recurring nightmare, crushing them that critics sharpened their blades once more. They insisted that Messi cared more for the Catalan flag than the Argentine one. They accused him of saving his miracles for foreigners. The whispers turned into storms, and still he kept coming back. The cruelest years were the mid-2010 seconds, when Argentina stretched its hands toward glory 3 times, and each time found its fingers closing around air. The 2014 World Cup in Brazil gave them hope wrapped in agony. Lionel Messi carried them past obstacle after obstacle, scoring 4 times, dictating rhythm, dragging the team to the final through sheer force of will. The world watched him walking past the World Cup trophy after Germany's extra-time battle, his eyes reflecting the weight of a nation collapsing on him at once. He won the Golden Ball, but it felt like a consolation prize thrown to a grieving king. And then came Chile. Once, then twice. Cruelty, when it takes a liking to someone, tends to stay. In 2015, Argentina reached the Copa America final with the kind of expectation that bordered on madness. The match crawled to penalties, and Chile took what Messi wanted most. A year later, fate repeated the joke with darker humor. Another final, another penalty shootout. This time, Lionel Messi stepped up first, and the unimaginable happened. His shot rose like a bird, fleeing the earth, and sailed over the bar. He stood frozen, unable to breathe, and the world felt the crack inside him. Chile won again. Messi cried, not because of failure, but because he knew what would follow. The burning jerseys, the cruel headlines, the fans calling him a deception. And then he broke. Standing in front of microphones, Lionel Messi announced that he was done, that the national team had drained him of every drop of emotion, that he could not keep failing his country, that the love he gave was consuming him alive. Argentina gasped. Some cheered in anger, some wept in disbelief, and some finally realized that they had treated their greatest treasure like a burden. The president called him personally. Children held signs begging him to return. Former players reminded him that heroes do not walk away when the sword is still glowing. And slowly, like tide returning to shore, Messi came back. But destiny did not offer a soft landing. Argentina's World Cup qualifiers for 2018 were a mess, bordering on collapse. They entered the final match in danger of missing the tournament entirely. Ecuador scored in the first minute, as if the universe wanted to test whether the captain still had miracles left in his chest. Lionel Messi responded with a hat-trick, the kind you score when you refuse to let a country drown. He dragged Argentina to Russia single-handedly, leaving even his critics speechless. But heroes are not given peace simply for saving kingdoms. The 2018 World Cup betrayed him again. Iceland's draw felt like cold wind. His missed penalty cut deeper than it should have. Croatia's 3-0 demolition felt humiliating. He scored beautifully against Nigeria to keep them alive, but by then the team was wobbling on unsteady legs. France ended their story in a chaotic dance of goals. A 4-3 knockout that announced a new global star named Kylian Mbappe. Messi walked off the pitch carrying a tired sadness, the kind that makes men wonder whether the future still wants them. For the first time, people asked if retirement was coming. He disappeared from the national team for months, leaving the world in suspense. But he returned again, not with the arrogance of a king, but with the humility of a man who still believed his story had one final chapter left unwritten. Under Lionel Scaloni, a new Argentina was forged, one built around grit, unity, and players willing to bleed for their captain. Rodrigo de Paul shattered Messi like a brother. Lautaro Martinez emerged hungry. Leandro Paredes brought steel. A generation was reborn. It all exploded in 2021. Brazil, Maracanã, Copa America. The stadium where Argentina had previously shed tears now waited for them like a haunted stage. Messi, at 34, played the tournament with a fire invisible in his earlier years, scoring free kicks, threading impossible passes, carrying the team like a man who finally stopped running from destiny and instead chased it down himself. When Angel Di Maria scored the winning goal in the final, and Argentine defenders threw their bodies into every tackle as if protecting their captain's heart, something irreversible shifted. The whistle blew. Lionel Messi fell to his knees. 16 years of wait dissolved in a single exhale. For the first time in his life, he lifted a major trophy with Argentina, and the world saw the smile of a man released from a curse. Fans who once doubted him now cried for him. The country that burned his jersey now built altars in his honor. Freedom tastes sweeter when it is earned through fire. The following year, Argentina demolished Italy in the Finalissima, a match not as historic as the World Cup or Copa America, but symbolic enough to cement the idea that Argentina was no longer a fragile team hoping for Messi magic, but a war machine fueled by unity. Messi danced around defenders in Wembley as if his legs had rediscovered boyhood. And then came Qatar, a 36-game unbeaten run behind them, a calm, grinning captain at the center, and a world waiting to see if Lionel Messi would finish his story the way legends deserve. But football, always dramatic, opened with a shock. Saudi Arabia defeated Argentina in one of the biggest upsets ever recorded. Panic bubbled, headlines sharpened. But Messi, now liberated by Copa America, spoke like a general. Trust us. And Argentina did. What followed was a masterpiece written in real time. A lifeline goal against Mexico that shifted the direction of the tournament. A knockout round beauty against Australia, woven through defenders with the precision of a surgeon. The insane quarterfinal against Netherlands, where Messi delivered a no-look assist dripping with arrogance and then slotted a penalty with ice running through his veins. The semifinal against Croatia, where he dribbled Josko Gvardiol, one of the world's strongest defenders, turning him into a helpless passenger while Lautaro finished the job. 7 goals, 3 assists, 5 Man of the Match awards. A tournament that felt less like football and more like divine poetry. And then the final, Argentina versus France in the greatest World Cup match ever played. Messi scored. Di Maria danced. Argentina led 2-0, but Mbappe refused to accept the script, scoring twice in 2 minutes. Hearts broke. Extra time arrived. Messi struck again, pounding the ball into the net with the desperation of a man refusing to be denied. Mbappe equalized once more. Penalties beckoned. Messi stepped up first, the same position that once broke him in 2016 and buried it calmly. Argentina triumphed. Messi cried again, but this time the tears were liquid joy. They wrapped him in a golden cloak. They lifted him on shoulders. The boy from Rosario had become the king of the world. In Argentina, 5 million people flooded the streets. No space to breathe. No sound except chanting. No country had celebrated a man like this in modern history. Those who once doubted him confessed their sins. Statues were promised. Murals erupted on buildings overnight. Lionel Messi had completed football. And yet, the script continued. He added the 2024 Copa America to his collection, even though his ankle betrayed him in the final. Lautaro Martinez delivered the winner in extra time. But when Messi lifted the trophy, he did so as a captain who had created a culture so strong that Argentina could win even without him on the pitch. Tears flowed again, not because of pain, but because aging heroes understand the fleeting nature of their roles. He knew the end was coming. In 2025, he stepped onto the pitch in Buenos Aires for a qualifier that felt more like a farewell concert. He was 38, each stride carrying history. The stadium roared with a love so fierce, it almost felt like an apology for the years they misunderstood him. He scored twice 2 perfect goals, 1 delicate chip, 1 classic finish, and walked around the stadium after the match soaking in the adoration he once had to fight for. From booing him to worshiping him, Argentina's transformation mirrored his own. Lionel Messi was no longer the timid prodigy accused of lacking fire. He was the architect of a golden era, the champion who carried his country through storms, the quiet force that reshaped destiny. He left the field that night in tears of joy, a circle finally closed. Argentina no longer compared him to Diego Maradona. They no longer asked whether he cared enough. They no longer questioned his leadership. He had given them more than trophies. He had given them a story, one built on heartbreak, perseverance, and redemption, so powerful it felt biblical. The same crowd that once doubted now lifted their hands toward him like pilgrims reaching for blessing. The man they once pressured into quitting had become a symbol of resilience. His journey was not a straight line. It was a labyrinth of pain and triumph, failure and glory, humiliation and divinity. Lionel Andres Messi became the greatest hero his country ever had, not because he was flawless, but because he endured every wound and kept walking forward. And somewhere inside that long journey from the red card that mocked him at 18 to the World Cup that crowned him at 35, Argentina discovered that the boy they once doubted had been their miracle all along. Tell me the exact moment Argentina finally believed in him. Name one player today facing similar doubt. Comment if his story is the greatest sports redemption ever told. Follow for the untold chapters behind football's biggest legends.